At my engagement celebration, my father bellowed, demanding I hand over my $100,000 inheritance to my brother, threatening to end my engagement if I refused. I stood my ground and said no. He struck me in front of everyone. Rising, I brushed off the blood, and no one could predict my next move. Hey Reddit, my engagement party was meant to be the pinnacle of joy. The venue glowed with gentle music, twinkling lights, and the scent of lilies and sparkling wine. Guests mingled, clinking glasses and offering warm wishes to me and Ethan, my partner of 6 years, with whom I'd crafted a shared future yet. Beneath the laughter and toasts, my family was scheming something unforgivable. 2 weeks prior, my mother summoned me to the dining room with her syrupy tone, reserved for big asks. She mentioned my brother's upcoming wedding, fidgeting with her bracelet as if gearing up for battle. She pointed out I hadn't used the $100,000 Grandpa left for my wedding. I tensed, explaining I was saving it for my own. She flashed a cloying smile, saying my brother's wedding came first, and he dreamed of a lavish Cancun venue. It would mean so much if I loaned the money. I was stunned. You want me to sacrifice my wedding fund? My father, leaning in the doorway, clarified it was just a loan. He suggested Ethan and I could have a simple backyard event, dismissing my flair for extravagance. I stared, incredulous. You expect me to shrink my dreams for his grand celebration? Mom's face hardened. This isn't about you, Lily. Your brother's the only son, marrying into the prestigious Wilsons. What about Ethan? What about me? I pressed, shocked. You'll get it when you're older, Dad said icily, then left, as if the matter was settled. I didn't yield. For 2 weeks, the atmosphere at home was stifling. They tried guilt trips and manipulation. Mom even wept to relatives, claiming I was abandoning my brother in his hour of need. I brushed off their judgmental glances. Ethan kept saying, "You don't owe them your dreams, Lily." I trusted him and chose myself for once, but I never foresaw their retaliation. At the engagement party, everything sparkled until my brother arrived late, tipsy, tossing his jacket onto a chair as if he owned the night. Dad gave him a nod, then locked eyes with me. As I stood by the cake, Ethan's arm around me, Dad's expression turned stormy. He approached, barely containing his fury, and demanded a private word. Right now, during my engagement? I protested. "You're shaming this family," he growled, seizing my arm. Ethan stepped in, respectfully intervening, but Dad pushed him away, barking for him to stay out. The music stopped. All eyes turned as Dad's voice thundered. "You ungrateful child, you owe your brother everything. This party? You don't deserve it." I tried to break free, but his grip tightened, his eyes feral. "Hand over the money or I swear." Then he struck me a sharp slap before 50 witnesses. My necklace snapped off. My head spun and time froze. Mom gasped, more embarrassed than horrified. My brother chuckled awkwardly, sipping his drink. Ethan rushed to me, cradling my face, shaking with rage. "You hit your daughter at her engagement," he said. "She deserved it," Dad snapped. "She's ungrateful. We raised her and this is her thanks." My cheek burned, but I stared at the man who'd just broken my last tie to that family. I didn't cry. Instead, I whispered to Ethan, "Let's leave." We walked out, silence echoing behind us. The whispers and judgment bloomed like a wound, but I didn't care. Something in me had shattered, empowering me. They wanted to steal my future, I'd take theirs. The next morning, my cheeks still throbbed, but the silence hurt more. No calls, no apologies from Mom, Dad, or my brother. They acted like it never happened. Ethan made breakfast, trying to keep things normal, but I saw the strain in his eyes. "You need to act," he said gently. "This isn't just about a slap. They humiliated you, and they'll do it again." I nodded, already plotting. I'd held onto a document from years ago, one my parents likely forgot. Grandpa didn't just leave me $100,000 for my wedding. Before he died, he quietly deeded their house to me. He'd warned me they might forget my worth and I'd need leverage to stand tall. Back then, I didn't grasp it. Now I did. I retrieved the file from a locked box. There it was. The deed naming me, Lily Harper, as the sole owner, signed and sealed. They thought the house was still Grandpa's or theirs after his estate settled, but he'd skipped them entirely, trusting only me. I contacted my lawyer, a sharp, compassionate woman named Clara who reviewed everything. "You can sell this property," she confirmed. "Just give the word." I didn't act immediately. I wanted them to sense it coming. First, I sent a formal letter, elegantly embossed, notifying them of an ownership review. No threats, just a hint. Days later, Mom called, her voice edged. "What's this letter, Lily?" "It's about the house," I replied calmly. She scoffed, saying they'd lived there for decades, and I couldn't just I cut in. "Grandpa gave it to me, not you or Dad." "Silence. You wouldn't evict us," she whispered, her confidence gone. I smiled grimly. I'm giving you the same respect you showed when Dad struck me before 50 guests, and you stood by. She tried guilt again, mentioning Dad's health and their life in that house. I was building my life, I retorted, until you tried to gut it for a beach wedding and watched your husband hit me. She screamed, calling me heartless, regretting my birth. I let her rant, then said, "You have 30 days." I hung up, I wasn't finished. Ethan and I attended my brother's wedding, invited only because I hadn't gone public yet. I arrived in a sharp cream suit, my cheek healed, my gaze icy. My brother smirked at me during the reception, acting untouched. "Glad you showed up," he said. I leaned close. "Enjoy the honeymoon," I whispered, "because when you return, Mom and Dad won't have a home." He laughed, then saw my face and froze. 2 weeks later, the sale finalized. I sold the house to a developer planning to demolish and rebuild. A bold red notice was posted on their door, "Property sold. Vacate in 14 days. My phone buzzed endlessly. I ignored it. When they appeared at my doorstep, tearful, I let them stand outside. "You think this is justice?" Dad yelled. "No," I said, but neither was striking me at my engagement or favoring a son for 28 years. "We gave you everything," he roared. "You took everything," I corrected. "Now I'm balancing the scales," they pleaded, but I'd moved on. I watched them drive off, their lives packed into my brother's SUV. It wasn't vengeance, it was fairness and just the start. 3 months later, life settled, but healing lingered. The world thought I'd moved on, but betrayal's scars don't fade with a deed transfer. I questioned if I'd gone too far, if justice masked pain. Then a letter arrived in Mom's handwriting, mailed, heavy with shame. I left it unopened for days. When I read it, the words cut deep. "We raised you, loved you, and you're tearing us apart out of spite. You sold our home, and now your father's health is failing. Are you satisfied? No apology, just blame." I burned it in a fire pit, Ethan handing me the lighter, his silent support enough. I wasn't wrong to walk away. Life moved forward. A surprise call came from Margaret Stone, a CEO I'd interned for years ago. She'd followed my nonprofit work on housing equity and offered me a leadership role in their new Seattle office. Stunned, I accepted. That night, Ethan and I packed for Seattle, leaving behind an apartment that symbolized my independence months into my role. I spoke at a company gala in Los Angeles. My speech about family betrayal and the myth of unwavering love went viral. The audience erupted in applause. A young woman stopped me afterward, tears in her eyes, saying my story freed her from guilt over her family's demands. I hugged her, my pain finding purpose later, visiting my hometown for a property check. I ran into my brother outside a mall, looking worn. He muttered about rumors of me selling the house to prove a point. "No," I said, "I sold it because you all crossed me first." He admitted Mom was staying with him. "That sounds cozy," I quipped. "Maybe she'll bring a strap next time." He flinched. "You've changed," he said. "No," I replied, "you just misjudged how quietly I'd planned my rise. In Seattle, I launched a women's program for those betrayed by family, called The Second Space, for daughters told they'd never rank first. At its opening, I spoke. I was struck at my engagement, but that wasn't my breaking point. It was when I started rebuilding. We aren't defined by their actions, but by what we create from them. The crowd cheered, some cried, and hope bloomed. My parents? I never saw them again. Sometimes I picture them passing the lot where their house once stood, now a shelter for single mothers, funded by the inheritance they tried to take. That's my legacy, not vengeance, but renewal.